All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. This session is all about putting your Airbnb experience, in-person experience onto Airbnb. I'm going to start with a land acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge that we are meeting right across Northern Ontario today on the land of the First Nations here in Ontario. This past week has been a big time of reflection for me personally, and I have, taken it upon myself and the responsibility to start to, learn some more. I believe I was an ally and advocate before, but I'm making a point to put some more effort into the knowledge and the awareness and advocating for our Indigenous friends, family, and community members. It is because of the Indigenous people and First Nations and the Métis of Turtle Island that we are here today, because they kept our land preserved and so well kept for millennia. So I'm so thankful and grateful to be able to be here with you and create this project, and to bring more awareness to the history of our Indigenous community and help to make a change for the future. Miigwech. So we're going to get started. I'm going to start sharing my screen here. And basically what I'm going to do is walk you right through from start to beginning on how to make your Airbnb online experience application and submit it. So the first thing that you need to do is go into Airbnb and create your online profile. I do already have an online profile, so I'm not able to go through that process with you, but basically up at the top here, this will not have your photo in it if you don't have one, and you'll just click there and go to create a login. When you sign into the website after you've done that, this is the page you'll get at airbnb.com. And so what I'm going to do here is to switch over to the hosting side. I'm just going to go to switch to hosting. I'm going to click that. Give my computer a second to catch up with me. You are able to do this from your mobile device as well. The last session I did on the online experience, I did do from my mobile phone. They are very similar setups. There's no difference whether you do it online or on your computer. Probably the only thing will be if you have your photos and such stored on your computer in order to submit them from there. But they look very similar. So from here, I'm sorry, my Zoom thing is in the way. Can I get this to move? There we go. Move that. Okay, so from here, you can go to create an experience up in the top right. And I'm going to just go through the very beginning of this, because if you don't submit everything in these spots, you're not able to move on. So how I mean is I'm going to just do this beginning part here. That's your ideas. So I'm going to do an in-person experience. I'm going to click next.
Case if I missed something.
And then you're going to do tell us a little bit more. So you're going to pick your city. I am here in North Bay. And there we go. Now, if you are putting your experience in as a social impact, you may need to get a confirmation code as an organization. If this is the case, please get in touch with me and I'll help you with this. But for most of us, we are doing these on our own, so we don't need to worry about that for our case right now. So I put in North Bay and I'm going to go to next. And then you're going to do themes. So we're going to pick themes for our experiences. So I'm going to hit select a theme, and I'm just going to use Linda as an example. So Linda is doing a food experience at the North Bay Farmers Market. So I'm going to hit food. I'm going to go to, so there's several different options here. You're going to pick one to start. So I'm going to do a market tour as the main one. That's going to be the big draw. And I'm going to hit save. Boop, boop, boop.
I guess you have to fill that on your own, I guess.
You are then able to put in an additional theme, and this is optional. So it depends on if you have something else you think that is fairly relevant. So with Linda's again, she's also going to be doing food tastings, because it's more food tastings than food makings, right, Linda? You aren't going to have them making all the food, you're going to make it for them. So
most of it, they might have it, but yes.
yeah. They might make a little bit, but like the whole thing is not totally a food cooking class. So here's they've got a few different options here. And if you have like several of these, I would hit other food tasting there and you would save that. And that's how you pick your theme. I'm just going to wait for this to load and just head back into it quickly. So there are all sorts of other themes here as well. And if you can't find yours, try and find the closest thing to it. So if I go with, let me see, I'm going to go with Ovila and Becky, where they have a trapper's experience. So I'm going to hit culture and I'm just going to have a look through here. And you make your best judgment on this. So, you know, this may be culture talk or culture tour, or you may decide to pick an other culture society experience, because you're not going to find trapping on this list because it is not a Canadian based list of experiences.
There was, as a choice, there was nature and something else there.
Yep, we can have a look there. Ooh.
If you
so,
go up,
yep,
was,
nature and the outdoors.
Yes.
Yep, so we can like look here. Forest tour.
Yes, we'll do that.
Okay. So yeah, play around, have a look around and pick what you think is best for you. You have to pick at least one theme, but your additional theme is optional. Once you've picked your themes, you then just head to next. And then you get to do your languages. So I'm just going to move this over. And one neat thing here that hasn't come up for the other one. So you pick your primary language. You also get the choice to put in another language. So if you offer it in French as well, you can pick French. This list isn't in alphabetical order, it doesn't look like. For the sake of it, I'm just gonna click one. You can pick multiple languages in which you offer it in. So you can just pick that there. One neat thing that's going to happen all throughout your application is Airbnb is going to suggest tips over here for you. So here you can see it says, you know, you should be able to read, write, and speak your primary language. And if you speak more than them, you can add them into your experience page. So this is the first section, and I'm going to stop this specific application where it is because I'm not able to go further with it quickly and easily with you. But this is where you would keep going. And I'm just going to quickly head into my experience specifically to go through the rest. So when you are putting in your experiences here, you can see that they come up as you work on them in progress. You just hit continue to keep going. So I'm just going to do that with mine. Okay, so where we left off in the next one would be right here where we're going to start here is at the experience page. we filled out the things that were right before that, which I'm not able to edit myself for my experience that has already been submitted. So next thing you're going to be filling out is the what we'll do, which is your description. So for those of you who have offered your experience online, you kind of have your description written out already. If you need help writing your in-person description, please reach out to me. I will absolutely help to write those. You just send me an email. And then you're going to put in your description here. So it gives you, Airbnb gives you a lot of help with this. You know, it tells you here what you should put in. It also on the right hand side gives a lot of helpful tips. You know, be specific about the activities, give them the detailed itinerary, and tell them what they get special access to. You know, these experiences are kind of showing them something local that, because they're with you, they wouldn't necessarily be able to find on their own. So that's how you're trying to, you know, bring that incentive in. You definitely do not want to have a loose or vague itinerary or generic activities that they can do on their own. So you need to have that incentive, which since you've gone through through the 101 experiences process, we know that you have a good product. So you're going to insert your experience description in here. You can write it in, or you can copy and paste it in. And then you just have to make sure it falls into the 1400 characters. And then it does give you, you know, that last keep in mind there with the clearly defined itinerary. So once your itinerary is, I'll put in there your description, you'll hit next here, which would be there if down in your bottom right, if you were moving to the next thing. I'm just going to click it from the side. Next, we're moving to the about you. So again, for those who did in online experiences, you will have your bio already written out. You're going to put in your full name. You're going to put in a profile photo. You want this photo to, you know, kind of tell your personality and who you are. They won't accept any logos. If you have a company logo, they won't take that. You can't put in your favorite pet. You could have a photo of you and your favorite pet, but you can't just have your pet. It has to be you. Then you're going to put in your bio down here. We talked about this a little bit the other night, and I am going to change mine. Mine is written as the third person. We want to change them to the first person. We want it to sound like you're talking to the host or to the guest who's looking at your sheet. So instead of Abby was born and raised in North Bay, I would say, hi, my name is Abby and I was born and raised in North Bay. So you will want to do it that way. You can do it in the third person. And I did do it and they did accept it. However, when we talked about it, it just, you know, it's more friendly to come across in the first person. So we would recommend that you do that. Again, there's lots of tips here along the side. You want to make sure you're saying how what your experience is with your experience, why you're doing it, why it's your passion. And put any credentials in. One thing we talked about last time is, you know, talking about having offered it before if you have offered it. This might not work for everyone, but definitely does help to say if you did do an online experience, you know, I've hosted this experience online, and now that the world is reopening, I am looking forward to seeing you in person, that kind of thing. You definitely do not want to say that you have never offered this experience before. You don't want to come off as a novice. People are looking for passionate, skilled people in this. And we know that you do have a skill, even if you haven't offered this tour exactly professionally before. You know, don't sell yourself short. Make sure you're putting value in yourself. There's also a few examples here on the bottom, and I always recommend going to Airbnb and just, you know, reading through other people's to get an idea as well. So between the description and the bio, does anybody have any questions so far?
Not about that specifically, but I just wanted to ask about an online account. Is that specific to Airbnb experiences? Or if you've ever used Airbnb, like I have an Airbnb account because I'm a traveler, but that I'm assuming this would be different.
Yep. What I'm going to get you to do, I'm going to write that down, and we're going to do that last. Okay, I'll show you exactly how to go from your traveling to your hosting. You can use the same account, no problem. It's just about how you go to find where it is to like host. So I will come back to that for you, Linda. So from here, you're gonna, again, you'll hit next down in your right corner, and the next part is on your location. So you're going to decide where everything takes place. So you can see mine is going to be taking place in a brewery. I'm going to just hit edit here so we can look at everything. There are tons of different locations. Oops, here. So you'll pick what works out best for you. If you're hosting it at your home, you'll say your house. If you have several locations, you'll get to choose all of them. So for Linda's, for example, hers is going to start outside at the market. So she would hit market to start and save. I'm gonna just switch that back. Then you would add next location, and you'd get to pick your second location that you're going to, wherever that might be. If it's in a church, or see here, food venue. Linda, specifically, if you wanted to, just is there an option to say kitchen here? No. Let me see here.
I would probably do exactly what you did.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering, can I put another location as well, a third one, if I happen to get a private group that's booked an Airbnb accommodation and I want them to know that I can come to them? Will it allow me to do that?
You'll put that in a different location here. So we will go through that. So those are picking your locations. You'll pick whatever suits it best, but you are able to then go in and describe it. So for example, with Linda, she is using a church's kitchen. She could, because she's saying church, she can then in her description say, you're going to the church kitchen. So in here, you're going to then describe the location. So, if it's happening in your house, you'll want to, describe your house a little bit. For residential, you'll want to say, some stuff about maybe parking and how open your house is, that kind of thing. There is a spot a little later about specific accessibility, but you can include a little bit here. Are there multiple levels and that kind of thing. Talk about certain things. So for example, Brenda, your experience is with Indigenous crafts, and you have a lot of Indigenous art and crafts around your home. So, talking a bit about that. If you're doing it somewhere else, so Linda, for example, you'll describe the market and the various vendors, and then your next location. Ovilla, you may want to talk about, what part of the forest you're going into, that it is the boreal forest, that kind of thing. You just want to, describe it a bit. And so this is for the public bookings for your experience. That's what you're going to describe here, because I know for some people it may change for the private experiences that you do. So that's one thing you'll want to make sure that it's for your public experience. You'll then go through where the guest wants to meet you. So the specific location where you are going to meet them. If you're meeting them at the market, just say if you're going to meet them at the museum at the market, you want to put that in. If you're going to meet them in the parking lot of a trail, that kind of thing. You'll want to get specific here. If it's your home, be aware that you are going to put your address here, but it is not going to get shared until after they've booked and they've secured payment. Your address won't just be available to the public to see, so you don't have to worry about that. As you can see, only confirmed guests will see the exact address. And then you'll also want to tell them how to find you once they arrive. So with the market, you know, if saying exactly where the market is, you'll say, we're going to meet at the North Bay Museum. So you'll say exactly where that is, what side of the museum, for example, and then potentially what you will be wearing to help them distinguish you. So for example, me, if I meet them out on the patio, they'll know who I am because I'm wearing a witch hat. So if you're meeting in a public space, you'll want to make sure to include that. If you're doing it privately from home, you can just tell them, you know, come right up to the door and have a knock, and I'll answer the door for you. And you'll want to give it a meeting name. So you'll also need to, at the beginning, when you put in when you're signing up for Airbnb, you want to make sure you put in a phone number, because that phone number is how they'll get a hold of you. If you don't put in a phone number here, it's going to, or if you don't put in a phone number when you first sign up for Airbnb, they will prompt you at this point to make sure it's in there. As you can see here, if this isn't the right number, you can change it on your account. Any questions about the location side of things? For public, we will come to the private part. Okay. Next is going to be what I'll provide. So these are your details. So does your experience involve any of the following? So driving, boating, motorcycle, flying. The reason they're going to ask for this stuff is because they want to make sure you have legal requirements in order to do this. Do you have the permits and licenses to drive 6 people around? Do you have your flying license? That kind of thing. So I don't think for anyone who's here with us tonight that will apply. Oops. So I'm just going to say my experience does not include any of these activities. The next thing they're going to do is ask you, I'm just going to take mine out here so you can see what it looks like. So it's going to ask you to add an item of what you're providing. So you get to decide here, you know, are you providing food or drinks? So I'm providing drinks. I'm going to hit drinks next. And I'm going to hit beer next, and I'm going to put in flight of beer or sample glasses. So if you are providing food, this is where you would, you know, put in a bit of information. If you're doing seasonal ingredients, it's up to you. You can go in and change this and edit all the time, or you can, you know, kind of give say seasonal Italian appetizers, and upon booking we will talk about the exact menu, or if you do want to put in the exact stuff, you can do so. If you're providing tickets to something, if you're taking people to a museum, you'll want to put that in. So I'm actually going to go with entrance fee here. So I'm doing a brewery tour for this. So I'm going to include that. If you are including equipment, and this could be equipment, you know, if you're taking people out on a canoe ride, you want to you know, tell them that you're including all of the safety equipment, your life jackets, that kind of stuff. You'll say that here. Or if you are making a dream catcher, you'll want to include that here. For me, we make witch balls, so I'm going to hit creative supplies. and I'm going to say which ball and oops. All supplies to create witch balls and jars. Okay, so you can continue to add all items that are included there. There is no maximum for that. If you don't have any items, you know, if you're just doing a straight up historical walking tour and not, they don't get anything, no problem. You don't have to put that there whatsoever. And again, they do give you tips here. So with food and drink, they want you to keep restrictions and physical limitations in mind. However, you are able to say later that guests can contact you regarding like allergies and stuff. So for that, you would say edit, put in that the things, and you would then type in if you have any allergies or intolerances or any other dietary restrictions, please contact the host and we will ensure that proper substitutes are made. So, and again, it does say to keep in mind, if you're using third parties for transportation or equipment, you should name the business for that. Just so people can, you know, check it out on their own if they want to, make them feel a little bit more safe, have a bit more comfort in, you know, of the mind. Can't remember that saying. So in terms of items that you'll provide, does anyone have any questions about that section so far? Okay. Next, what guests should bring. So this is really important, especially for those outdoor experiences. So here, for example, be as detailed as possible. So for me, what I say is that for my tour, all basic items are included, but there are many items of a personal nature that they might wish to include that they can bring from home. And you can go to this website to see a list of those things. So that's what I did for mine. Other things you can say here, really good for outside. So saying, you know, hiking shoes, or bring, layer your clothes, bring a rain jacket, or if it's very specific, for example, Alex Boudreau is doing a nature photography. He's not providing the camera. So saying, you know, bring your phone or your camera to make sure you can take pictures, that kinds of things. So that one is pretty self-explanatory. Again, you can put in as many items as required. And if they don't really need anything, you don't have to put anything. I would always suggest, you know, if you are doing a walking tour or anything like that, always put in running shoes or comfortable walking shoes. Just from experience, I've worked with thousands of tourists coming off of cruise ships, and you know, I don't know how many have just like come off with flip-flops and things like that. So you think that it is the common sense, but just put it in there so that they think about it. You know, if it is raining out, they don't bring a jacket, you know, at least you said, like, if we require a jacket in the rain, they can't blame you for that. Any questions about things that your guests should bring with them? Okay. Next section is guest requirements. So this is who can attend your experience, and this one can be a little tricky. So you need to set an age for your guests. I am doing it in a brewery and we're sampling beer. So, you know, kids can't really come on this experience. I mean, they could and be there with their parents, but I would prefer that it's not a children's event. So you get to decide on your age there. Whatever you are comfortable with is fine. I do have it selected, however, because the brewery I go to does something called nappy hour. It's like happy hour, but you're allowed to bring your babies with you. So they're really amenable to having us babies in the brewery. So I'm saying that, you know, if you know, a couple decides to go on vacation with their little one, they're 6 months old, and they want to do this experience, but they have no one to watch their baby, they can bring their baby. That doesn't bother me. You can decide if you want that. Totally up to you. You're then
Can
going
I
to
just say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm just going to say something that from my experience too, because you have people coming from different places, adults may want to have an adult experience. So maybe one person says, oh, great, I'm bringing my 9-year-old, but the other 6 people go, I wanted this as an adult experience. I didn't want to spend any time with anybody else's children. So I've had that discussion with attendants too. So that might be useful for people to know.
Absolutely. That is a great thing to mention. It will say when people are booking that parents can bring their kids. So guests can either follow up with that or they book a private experience if they want to keep it just that way. And you can also follow up with your guests too and say, you know, there is a baby coming on this experience. That kind of thing. So there is it's up to you to decide how amenable to this you want to be. And like Linda said, if it's an adult only experience, that's the way it is. So totally your choice here. We're then going to go into accessibility. This is definitely a little different than the online experiences, which we talked about, because online was focusing a lot on technology, whereas this is a little bit different. So I'm just going to click them all so all of the options come out. The first one, which is probably a lot of us will be able to choose some of these, is environmental. So accessibility. So myself, I know that Gateway City has accessible bathrooms. They have disabled parking. Well, sort of. It's just an empty lot, but there's lots of room for vehicles there. It's mainly flat. So if you don't have any of this, that's okay. You're able to, you know, if your home isn't accessible, that's okay. You could potentially write if you're going through this and you want to go back into your location area and say, like, my house isn't totally accessible, but there's only 3 stairs to get into the home. Then people can, you know, make the decision like, oh, if it's with a walker, can they make it up? Or if they're in a fairly light wheelchair, can it be lifted up? That kind of thing. So you can, if you want to be more accessible, but you're not totally accessible in that way, you can say so. You know, some of this may not apply to you if you're doing an outdoor experience. You do get to decide a little bit later on what the activity level and skill level will be. So if you don't, if you know, if you're going out in the forest, a forest isn't really that great for a wheelchair or someone who has walking issues. So you're going to not pick any of these. Communications here is assistive technology. At this point, I don't think that a lot of us have this available to us. You know, you have someone who does sign language translation for you, or you have visible signage available. So if you don't have that, that's okay. If you want to work towards that, you absolutely can. And then there's other features. So if you're taking breaks to sit down, this might be something you may want to do if you have an outdoor experience. You know, you are going walking, but there will be chances for you to, you know, sit on this log, or you're walking down the street. There are a few benches if you need a break, kind of thing. If you're going to something with lines, you can say that. Or if there's quiet retreat space. So this might be if you're amenable to kids and you have a child with autism come, like, are you able to accommodate if that child needs some space to, you know, settle down on their own? and then the refrigerator for medicine storage. So if any of that's available, just select it for you. I'm just going to go back up here and unselect these. They do not tend to meet. So this is the next part here where I was chatting about the activity level. So activity level is, how active are you going to get? My tour, we're mostly just sitting. We're going to do a little walking around the brewery, so that's light. If you're doing just, a walking tour that has not a lot of hills, it's a pretty short walk, you can pick light. If you're going into the forest, but it's a pretty packed down path, it's pretty wide, you could say moderate. You kind of, decide it that way. If you need some help with this, you can always chat to your trainer about deciding which activity level you think is best, because maybe you think that it's super easy, but the regular person may not. And then skill level is real. Oh, go ahead, Linda.
Sorry, Abby, to interrupt before you go past the additional requirements. Is that the spot that I would put in about people that have food allergies or intolerances? Is this the spot I would be putting this because it's a guest requirement?
Yep. So you would be able to put it into the what guests should, or the what you'll provide section in that little spot, or you can put it here, or you can put it in both to just, make sure that it is said twice. And so nobody kind of reads over it, especially with allergies and intolerances, because you don't want anyone to show up at the last minute and be like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to tell you about that. So you can put it in both.
Thank you, Abby.
Yep. Skill level required. This may be about if you're doing a craft or something. So Brenda, with yours, for example, you're doing a dream catcher. You are starting them out from the beginning. They don't need to have any type of skills to be able to do that. You can say beginner. With a different experience. So with a villas experience, don't think you're expecting a lot of people to have any specific skills behind trapping when they come to see you. So you can say beginner there. But someone like Alex Boudreau, for example, he is doing the art of nature photography. And while he is showing you all the basics there, he would probably want you to have a bit of an idea and a work around your camera. So he may say, intermediate on that level. Kind of up to you on what you think for that one. And again, you can talk to your trainers about that. And like Linda pointed out, the additional requirement spots. So saying if they want you want them to let you know if they have allergies or intolerances. In here, Alex could say, know your way around your camera a little bit, at least know how to turn it on and turn it off, that kind of thing. If your location, maybe you have animals, let people know you have a dog in your home, that type of thing. So that's where you can add in those other little parts. Here you can also ask people to verify their ID. I would recommend that everyone clicks yes for this. So you're not getting people that are signing up and then they aren't who they say they are. I find this especially important if you end up with just one person booked onto your experience and you don't have a co-host in your one-on-one. It's important to have this selected. So Airbnb will make them take a picture of themselves and compare that to their government issued ID. And they take care of all of that for you. So basically all you have to do is just click this off and Airbnb will do that for you. You don't have to worry about it. Any questions on guest requirements here? Okay. Next is title. And this is always a difficult one because you need to have 40 characters or less, which means it has to be short. So if anybody needs any help coming up with a title, you can, again, please reach out to me and I can help you here. There's some various things that you're not allowed to do. So you're not allowed to use punctuation. So no exclamation points, no question marks. You can't even use a colon. So here, for example, I was going to use a colon. Is it going to do it for me? When I do that, it's going to come up and tell me, no, you can't have that. And if you go and scroll and hover over it, it will tell you why. No, that doesn't meet their standards. So I'm going to take that out, and is it going to do it? And I'm going to put in my dash, and even the dash, it's kind of like, yeah, we don't know if you want this here. Maybe review it first. So I do want that dash there. I'm okay with it, and they have accepted my experience, so they're also okay with that. But just so you know. And again, there are tips here about creating that. Describes your main activity, using action verbs, make sure it's unique. You want it to be descriptive and exciting. And then they also will give you some examples. This one is interesting, that it is a scuba diving picture, and it says songwriting with a platinum producer, but I don't know about that. So yes, they will give you a couple of different examples. Any questions about titles? Okay. So next, which is arguably the most difficult part of getting your experience okayed and submitted, is your photos. So you need to have 7 photos, and you can have up to 15. And each of them have for the first 7, there are specific requirements. So again, requirements for all photos: they need to be bright, clear, and in color. They need to accurately describe the experience. They can't be posed. You can't have selfies exactly. There's been, you can try submitting certain selfies. Like, we looked at a few experiences on the online one. And to give you an example, it was an experience of a gentleman who was creating a New York. He would help you create your New York itinerary for when you traveled there. And his photo was a selfie, but behind him was all the New York landscape. So that was very descriptive of his experience, showing the location and stuff. So there's a little bit of leniency. It's not just a computer that is looking at these photos and, taking them out. It is a human being looking at them. Just be aware that like 99% of the time, a selfie is not going to be taken. A posed photo is not going to be taken. They also don't want filters. They don't want text or any added additional graphics on there. When you're taking your photos, ask the guests. If you know the guests who are coming to do the photos for you, get them not to wear huge logos on their clothing, that type of thing. And all the photos have to belong to you. No copyrighted work. So your first photo that you need to put in is your cover photo. That's the photo that's going to be shown to everyone as they go through the gallery of experiences available to them. It needs to be candid. It has to show at least one person and represent the experience well. Then you get into your gallery photos. And this is where they have, they've got 4 with specific requirements. So first one is a host. So they want to show yourself leading the experience. And just so you know, these photos are a little bit out of whack when you're looking at them. This photo was submitted over here, but when you go back into edit, they all kind of go out of order, just so you're aware. So you've got your host photo showing yourself leading the activity. You need an action photo showing guests engaged in your experience. So will it open this? So this is my host photo. You can see there's me in the background. You can see the beer. You can see the witch balls. You can see that it's in the brewery. Then we go to action, showing your guests engaging in the experience. So here you can see me doing an oracle card reading. My guests are still working on their witch balls. They're drinking their beers. Next one, details. So you're capturing a close-up on textures and interesting details. So this one, you can see the cards, you can see the smoke coming up from our Palo Santo. You can see, we've got some flowers and some sweetgrass. We've got the beer there. Then you want to show the full location as much as possible and try to include people. So here we've got the photo of Mike giving us the tour of the brewery. And it's also dog friendly, which is nice to include if you are dog friendly. And then the last two are miscellaneous. So you get to decide what you include here. So I included another one showing everyone doing the tour. And then my other one would have been these ladies, drinking their beer and having a good time. So you can choose to include more and more photos if you want. It's up to you there, but those are the 7 that you need to have. Any questions about photos? It's always good to.
It's kind of clear and it's kind of confusing at the same time. They give very specific requirements.
Yep.
But at the same time, what they're asking kind of contradicts. So the one that, could you just go up to the requirements, and you have the one that they couldn't be like the selfie or whatever. Wait a minute, they can't show people posed for the camera taking a selfie. They're mean with people at the market. It's like, how do you give them what they want?
So what I did for my experience is I basically just hosted the experience and told my photographer to just take a ton of photos of the whole thing. I gave him the sheet and showed him at the back of your workbooks.
But can I ask a question? You've already done the experience, and you're talking to us, and we haven't done it yet. So how do we put a picture of us doing it? You're saying you hosted the experience, but we haven't done it yet.
I haven't hosted my experience yet. I had a photo shoot in order to do so. So I booked a date with my photographer, and then I had us. So these guests are actually my friends. I haven't hosted my experience yet. You can, that's what I would recommend doing. And I think that's a really good practice for everyone, is do kind of a dry run. So Linda, in this case, you don't want to do it you don't necessarily want to do your photos at the church if you have to pay to rent the space, because you're going to be taking these people on an experience potentially for free, or maybe you can, work with your friends to, pay for the ingredients or something, and you'll walk them through it. So that's
okay. I got to stop you, because you're making a suggestion that I know I can't do. I mean, I will not be able to do that between now and July 1st when I go into quarantine, and that will give me time. I'm not going to go drive to North Bay. I might just use some of the ones I have that look like I'm teaching the experience, but it's somewhere totally different that I did before. And I guess the worst case scenarios is, like you said, if we submit it and they're not happy with the photo, I guess they'll tell us and go, we don't like that photo. That's correct, eh?
Yep. So I can show you that too, because with my online experience, they didn't accept some of my photos. And it's not that they won't accept all your photos. They'll tell you the specific photo they won't accept, and they'll kind of tell you why. So that's, you're very much, Linda, can, use those photos, see if they'll accept them. And then, when you do your experience, you can, if you have a co-host, check with the participants and see, are you okay with me taking some photos today? If they're not, well, you can email them ahead of time, so you don't get someone to come take your photos beforehand. But that would be my suggestion in your case. Put in those photos you have of you teaching courses or in classes. Maybe go down to the farmers market and take some of your own photos of the market, just to get that location part of it, and then submit those. And then as you do your experience, you can change out your photos if you wish to.
So there is the flexibility of changing out photos that, as you progress, as you polish your presentation.
Yes, yes. As you can see, like my experience is submitted here, and in all of this, every single part here we've seen, they will allow you to go in and edit it after it's been submitted. So these are all the same questions they ask you when you put in your application, and you're able to go in and change them.
Thank you.
So yes, absolutely. There are some situations in which it's hard to get what they're asking specifically, especially in the middle of a pandemic. But like I said, it isn't a computer looking these photos over and okaying it. It is a person looking at them. And if you do, you come down to it and you're having a really hard time, there is a way to contact Airbnb and you can bring something to their attention. So if you really don't have any other option for a photo, you can contact them and write them an email and say so, and they're really good about getting back to you. They may still not take it, but they will, talk it out with you a bit more. You're then able to manage all your photos that you've uploaded in a library. So if you decide to switch them out, you can do so. Some of them they won't take though. So for example, this one here, it is in my library, and I wanted to put it in because we are, that is a dog-friendly brewery, but they said that it's grainy because the background, I guess, is grainy. This one is too similar to one of my other photos. So it's kind of nice that you can see why here in the declined photos. There's also the resource here on the side of what are the requirements for photos. And yes, basically, if you do have a photographer, give them your workbook page about all the photos. It says, make sure they're taken at different angles and stuff like that. So you get a wide variety. But if you've got someone who knows their way around a camera, you should be able to get some pretty good photos. Any questions about the photos area? Okay. So the next part we're going to go into is kind of the logistics side. And this is general settings. So we're going to audience. So this is your target audience. As 101 Experiences, we are non-discriminatory. We are welcoming, we are inclusive. Anyone can take our experiences. We do have the age limit, which it isn't discriminatory. Exactly. If it was a family event and you weren't allowing kids, that's kind of the difference. But you can also say you do have a specific audience in mind. If it works out, but just when you do select a specific audience, you are cutting down on who may book your experience. So if you want to select a specific audience, you can, especially if maybe you are hosting a family event. Yeah, or you're doing something, guess with pets, like you're doing a dog walking experience, like you would have a specific audience of people who have dogs. But you should choose everyone to keep it inclusive and get the most bookings. Next is languages, and we did talk about this in the beginning. So this is again just kind of putting that in there again. It's just the exact same thing. So you'll select your primary language you want to host in, and then other ones you feel comfortable hosting in. Next is group size, and this specific question is for public experiences only. You're able to change the sizes for private experiences later on, but right now this is for public. So for me, with anticipation of how reopening is going, in a brewery restaurant, I can have 5 people at a table. So I'm going to be there, so I can have 4 people join me. You are able to change this later, and you're also later, when we talk about availability, able to change this by day as well. Okay, as you can see, the group size sets your maximum group size. You're not ever able to select a minimum if it's always one person. That's a big thing for Airbnb. If one person books, you host with that one person, no matter what. Next is duration. So you're going to decide how long the experience is. It does, tell you here, most experiences are under 3 hours, but that's not a set rule. You can decide how long you want it to go, and it does have like fairly long amounts of time here that you can choose. And then you are going to pick a time you typically start your experience. However, later when you're picking your days for availability, you get to set the time. So I don't know, I kind of just put 12 in. I'm expecting 12 is a good time for the brewery, but I may change this later because I realize I'm generally starting and people want to do it around 4 o'clock or something. So just what you're guessing basically there for your duration. Before we move on to these booking settings, does anybody have questions about audience or group size or duration? Okay. So booking settings. There's some really great tips that are given here on the side too, that are updated every 24 hours. So kind of talking about how close to the time do guests usually book. This is saying 1 or more hours in advance. So no one's usually booking like right before it starts because people need time to get to wherever you are. And generally, so you can see here, 99% of guests book 2 hours or more in advance. So you can decide on some different stuff here. So the first thing is cutoff time for additional guests. You may be doing an experience where you don't need to get any equipment ready or anything. So you can say, 0 hours before. Someone can sign someone up right up until they're showing up to you. Myself, however, I need time to, add in extra materials for witch balls. I need to let the brewery know I have another person coming in terms of invoicing me for beer flights. So I've said 2 hours before. They say here, we suggest setting your cutoff time to 2 hours because you end up getting more bookings that way. You can reach up to 1% more bookings by lowering your cutoff time. So that's not a lot. This will also constantly be updated. Again, like I said, Airbnb is really good about, letting people know what the averages are and whatnot. The next is cutoff time for your first guest. So if no one books by this time, then it won't become available. So you're able to say hours before. Myself, and it recommends 4 hours before. I am a very anxious person, and not knowing when I'm going to have a booking, like if it's just hours before, that's going to be really hard on my mental health. So I said I can handle a day before. And that's also enough time for me with the brewery. If you're someone who, that doesn't bother them so much, choose your time. If you need more notice, if you have a space that needs to be booked, you can say several days in advance. So that's your choice there. And then requests for availability. So you can decide to check this or not, and people can request dates and times that you might not have listed. So if I have June 2nd listed, but they want June 3rd, they can contact me. We are going to be in town on the 3rd. Do you have anything available then? You can unclick it, and they can still contact you for other stuff, but the request availability link will not be there for your calendar. Does anybody have any questions about these booking settings?
I didn't understand the last part about request service. So allow people to request dates and times not listed. So you could do that just because there might be an opportunity where they couldn't make, for example, my July one, but if they contact me and go, I'm doing this again in August, would you happen to be coming up, for example, is what you're saying. It's probably better to check it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's not that you can reach out to them, it's that they can reach out to you. So because when we go in and look at the availability, you can set it to be open for however many days, or you can pick days that work best for you. So myself, say I decide I'm going to host on Fridays, but I have somebody who's not coming into town till late Friday night and wants to do it Saturday. They can send me a message and say, hey, any chance you're free on Saturday? And if I've got nothing planned, I can say, you know what? Yeah, I can do it Saturday. Might as like take another one. It's just more about being a little bit more flexible. And if you're amenable to being contacted for that, totally. If you're someone who, you know, has a massively packed calendar, and when you do your tour, those are the only days you can do them, don't select this this availability. Okay, so the next part is automated messages. So I actually haven't set any of these yet, but you can do some pre-written messages, welcome message. So again, with this one, you might want to say, hi, I'm so glad you booked with me. This potentially, Linda, this is where you could put you know, your menu that you have available and put that in. And also, again, state, let me know if you've got any intolerances. Anyone else can, you know, just give a welcome. Just say, hey, I'm so glad you booked with me. Can't wait to see you. If you have any questions, please let me know. That kind of thing. You can set a reminder message. Airbnb will remind your guests as well, but this one can be personalized to you, you know, like, hey, don't forget your camera when you're starting to pack your bags. You know, again, reminder message. Did you let me know if you've got any intolerances? That kind of thing. If you don't feel you need them to have a reminder, that's fine. As I said, Airbnb will send one. And then a thank you message. And I think that everyone should have a personalized thank you message. Thank your experience or your guests for coming on your experience. Tell them you'd love them to, you know, write you personally and let you know what they liked, what they disliked. They will be prompted by Airbnb to give you a review and write a testimonial, but you can also ask them too, because, you know, those reviews and testimonials become public. They may want to share something private with you. So give them that option. And also, if you want to give them your contact information so that they can book with you again later or something, you know, or that you're, or, you know, if you're creating something that is seasonal, you can say, if you're headed back up to North Bay in winter, you know, check out my seasonal menu for the winter, kind of thing. So very personalizable. But again, for those thank you messages, everyone should create one of those. Next is the booking tool. So I actually, to be honest, haven't seen this. Let me see here. Add a booking tool to your website. This is for people who already have a website. And this is what we're going to be implementing with the 101 experiences. So here is the HTML code. We'll make sure that we give you some written directions for this, but you'll want to copy this and you're going to want to include it into 101 experiences when you put your booking on there so that it's linked right in. I can't answer a lot of questions about that right now exactly, because we're still working on the back end of the 101 experiences to get the in-person ones ready. But just so you're aware, the booking tool section, this is where it is. This is where you're going to get this link so that you can put your Airbnb link right into 101 experiences. It's going to take people right there to book. You can also, sorry, go ahead, Patrick.
Abby, could you just slowly scroll down the HTML code just for a minute? I just want to get a quick look.
That's as far as it goes.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. So as well, if you have a website, you can also put this onto your website. Myself, my Witch Balls experience, if someone just comes across that somehow through a web search, I'm going to link my Airbnb on there. And if they're coming into North Bay, they could book with me. For any of you who have a website already, if you're wanting to put that in here, you can. You can switch it from being horizontal, vertical. Here's the preview. So that's really great. So everyone will be sending this specific link, attaching it into our 101 experiences. So you'll just need to hang tight on me getting you that information once our end on 101 is ready. Okay, and then you have the option, if it's horizontal, to put in some more things here. So any questions about the automated messages or this booking tool, for the exception of that I don't know how it'll go into 101 yet? No? Okay. The next part is team. So this is about if you're going to have co-hosts. When you invite, you can make it even better. And this is specifically for bookings with Airbnb. So if you are going to co-host, but they're going to have no part in the booking side of things and changing it, you don't put anything in here. This is specifically for that part of it. You may want to, so if we look here, so we have a co-host who can manage their own instances or assistants. So co-hosts would be someone who is hosting with you or someone who is going to host in your place. And you can say what permissions they have here. So they can respond to people or they can't. Sorry, I just need to move my Zoom bar out of the way to see here. They can see the calendar and availability. You can decide they can manage dates and stuff. I would play around with this. I think for the most part, most of us are hosting on our own, but if you need help with this, if you do have co-hosts and you want more help with this, just contact me and I can walk you through that a bit more. But because most of us don't have this, I'm going to skip by this. Just know that that's there for you. In the future, if you do start getting busy, you need more co-hosts, you need an assistant. I hope we all end up needing assistants, that we get so busy with it. Okay, so that's the general settings, and now we're moving on to pricing. And this is where we're going to talk more about those private bookings. So everything that we've done up to this point is for our public bookings. I need to move my screen thing again. Okay, so this first one, guest pricing, this is again for public bookings. As we all know, Airbnb takes a 20% service fee, basically your insurance payment. So what you get to do here is you can put in your price, and over here in your estimated earnings, it's going to tell you how much you're going to get after they take that 20% off. So here, my tour is going to be 65 and I'm going to get 52 back. If it's 75, I would get 60 back. So you're able to kind of look at it that way to make sure that you're making that profit and repaying any costs that you have there. I'm going to put that back to 65. Because I gave that option that infants under 2 years old can come on my tour, you can also set a price for that. They're not doing anything in mind, so I said 0. If you select a younger age, so if you selected 10 or 12, it's going to also offer you a kid's or a child's rate to put in as well. Over here in the tips, it's quite nice. It shows you your potential earnings for different amounts of people coming in. Next part is group rates. So you're able to offer a discount depending on how many people book at one time with you. So if So right now I have a group right here that if 2 people book, they can get a 20% discount. So they would then be paying 52. My estimated earnings would be here. It also then breaks it down here again for you on how much money you would make. Right now, if you're hosting an inside event and you can only have 4 people, I wouldn't recommend a group rate for right now. It's until you can get bigger that would become more profitable for you. Right now, it's not really necessary. You can also add more. So right now I have 2 to 50 and they get 20% off, but I could add in another one where I'm saying if 5 to 15 book, I'll give them 30% off. So it's more of an incentive for you to fill up your experience by them booking a group instead of individually. So that's the group pricing, guest pricing for regular pricing and for groups. We're moving on to private groups next. Does anybody have any questions about this here, about public pricing? Okay, so private groups. So you have the choice to allow private groups or not allow private groups. It's up to you. You then get to set your minimum price. So if this is your minimum price for if one person wants you all to themselves. So I'm saying, you know, normally my experience would be $65 for one person. If you want to book me and I don't get any other bookings, it's $75. Coming back to this now, I think I'm probably going to up it a little bit. But you can also see here on the side, it's going to kind of break it down for you. So it shows you your minimum price across the board and what you should charge for, you know, here it says if 2 adults are in a group, guests will pay $130 for a private instance. It's kind of telling you how it's going to go up there. So you can play around with it there. If the cost per person is higher than the minimum price entered, guests will pay the higher price. So this is kind of with this is going to happen more with groups. If a group is going to, you know, book a private for 5 people and you have a group rate that is much lower for 5 people, it's going to charge you the higher price there. So they'll be charged the private booking price as opposed to that group experience price. You're also able to change the maximum group size here for private ones. So me, if they're going to book me for a private experience and they want me to come to their house, I'm saying that I'll take more people than just 4 because I'm in a public setting there. And you're able to go all the way up to 30. We need to, I think right now, we don't have, because us as an organization 101, we haven't gotten a chance to play around with this a lot. So we're going to end up asking you for feedback on Airbnb as we go. So if you're finding that these things are really weird, you have come up with a different solution for certain things, let us know. But you're able to really, really change this. So if you are taking a private group and that changes your location, you'll write that into those additional requirement areas that we talked about earlier. Additional requirement. If you're booking as a private group, you have the ability to have me come to your home, your cabin, as opposed to you going to a public kitchen. So you can put that in there. Any questions about private groups? Nope. Okay. The next spot is special offers. This you can see new things that they've put in through the whole thing. So you're able to also do promotions, which is neat. Say it's getting close to Christmas and you'd like to make a little extra cash and get some more bookings. You can create a discount, bring in some more people. And you can see how it works here. So you apply this promotion, it'll be active for 30 days. You can remove it, go back to your original pricing. If you remove it, you won't be able to apply it again. So you'll have to recreate a promotion. And then all of that, the discounts are based on your original price that you put in. And it'll just automatically let your prices go back to normal once that promotion ends. So you're able to do that, which is kind of neat. You're also able to offer, sorry, I'm just going to go back here because say, you know, it's for my experience, for example, it's around witch balls. Maybe I decide I'm going to offer an October special for Halloween. So that's something I would be able to do for bookings, that kind of thing. You're also able to do an early bird discount. I'm thinking about this because, as I said, I've got a lot of anxiety. So with having early bird discounts, you know, people who are looking at an experience may be more apt to book it if they get a percentage off, which means that my calendar is filling up quicker. I'll know if I have bookings faster or not. So this is something that might be beneficial to me to have an early bird discount. You can totally, you know, decide for yourself. You can see over here, guests who book an instance 2 weeks before it starts gets 20% off your default price. So that means 2 weeks before I should have bookings, which is nice. You can disable it at any time. And yes, that's pretty self-explanatory for that early bird booking. It's 2 weeks in advance. Any questions about any of these special offers, early bird discounts?
It's not on a discount. And what about the people book and they don't show up? What's happened?
So those are cancellations.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in just one sec. So this is just all about for filling out your experience. So once you get to this point, you pick out all your pricing and stuff. Your experience is ready, and you get to submit. I'm just going to go back up here. If you're in your experience page or your, sorry, if you head back up into your experience spot, you'll be able to see over here that there is a right, you can preview what your experience looks like before you submit it. So it comes up here on the side. And you're able to, you know, scroll through all your photos, see how it looks, what's included, make sure that it is all set to go, and then you'll hit submit. Right now, we're seeing about 24 to 72 hours for the review process. They will let you know if there's anything that needs to be changed. They'll email about it. If you have also and put in your notification settings that you'll take text messages, they will get a hold of you through the app, through email, through text. Like I get contacted by Airbnb 3 different ways. So that's really good. You will know if there's an issue. And then I can show you here what it looks like if you have something that needs to be reviewed. So you can see here that my experience is available. That means it has been okayed. It's all set to go. But this is my online experience and it says changes needed. And it shows you here, your experience needs changes. Just fix this one thing for resubmission. And this is, they aren't taking some of my photos. So that's why mine is currently still under review. And you can see here, this is one that we were creating earlier. It's in progress. So in terms of cancellations, Ovila, that is something that's set through Airbnb. If a guest cancels on you, you are still going to get paid. I believe it's a cancellation amount. So I'll double check this, but I believe it's upwards of 50% possibly if they don't show. If they're the only people booked, it may be more. I will double check this for you to get that specific answer, but it's not that you won't be paid anything. It's because they are the ones canceling. If you cancel, There is potential penalties. You're not going to be docked any money. However, this can affect your ratings on Airbnb, and you're held to a when you're going through and submitting your experience, you know, you have to agree to the requirements of Airbnb. So if you are canceling for specific, you know, weather reasons or something, you're supposed to go rain and shine. If it's a medical or reason and you need to cancel, they'll ask you why you're canceling. They would like you to have a co-host available if something ever happened to you. So, you know, that's kind of the thing. They did just change something which is really important to us to know, is that Airbnb is no longer taking COVID cancellations as a reasonable excuse for cancellation. We know now if a lockdown is coming. We are fairly aware if things are getting worse. So, you know, that they aren't taking those last minute cancellations anymore. If you're worried about that for the future, when you're doing your availability, don't open your schedule up far into the future. You know, work a couple weeks or a month at a time. Which leads me into the next part, which is when you decide to put in your availability. So my experience has been, okay, it's ready to go. I'm ready to put in availability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it. Let it open. Oops. Okay. Pardon me. That's not where I'm going to go. Sorry. So when you sign in, the first place that you're going to come to is your dashboard. So if you're looking around in your experiences before, you're going to head over to your dashboard. From your dashboard, you're able to see tasks. I'm going to let it open here. I believe one of my tasks is that I need to put in my payment information. So this is how you get paid. And it's also doing things for COVID right now, checking your local restrictions on group size, that type of thing. You'll also, once your experience has been okayed, you'll need to put in your payment information. So this is, you know, you'll need a blank check so you can put in those details. That's how you'll get paid. They will never take money from you. They will only ever give you money. So when they, in terms of like your service fee, that is just deducted from what they're going to send you. For payments, it comes within 24 hours to 72 hours of your guest checking in for the experience. All guests need to check in. That is something that guests know to do, not something you need to worry about, or potentially if someone forgets to check in, Airbnb will send you messages like, did this person come? So don't worry about that. There'll never be an instance that like Airbnb doesn't contact you if someone hasn't checked in. And then in terms of when you get paid, it's going to be a bit dependent on how long it takes your bank to process it. But Airbnb releases it within 24 hours, and then it gets processed through to your bank account. There's also, I forgot to mention, when you're doing your experience for an in-person, at the very end before you submit, they're going to go through some COVID cleaning, COVID protocols. So, you know, if it's being hosted in your home, you have to wipe down surfaces. You should wear a mask if it's mandatory where you're located. You should try and keep social distancing as much as possible. And then it's going to kind of give you a little quiz and ask you to make sure that you're good with COVID protocols. But by now, all of us are experts on that. So just so you're aware, that will come up for you. So once you've got everything in, you get to add availability. So I am going to, it says here, add availability. You don't have enough experience scheduled to show in most search results. So I am going to add more availability. through my calendar. You can also click calendar here. So, and again, it's going to ask about COVID. Are in-person experiences open in your region? So right now, I know that I can start hosting as of Friday. I'm still working with the brewery to decide when that's happening. Some of us aren't going to be able to do that depending on the experience and where it's being held. Outdoor, you're going to be able to host. Your numbers may change. So we're looking at the calendar. I'm just going to go ahead in time just so that when I put this in, I don't accidentally get a booking for a day I can't do. So I'm going to move ahead into September. I'm going to pick a Sunday. So I decide, going through my calendar, I want to host on Sunday, September 5th. I click on that date and I hit schedule an experience. If you have multiple experiences available, you would have to, check which experience you're going to offer, in which case I would check which balls and beer. And then a nice thing is here, like I said, everything is again customizable. You have your default time, but you can set a different time. So say I know the brewery is not available at 12 this day, I can decide to do it at 6 at night. You're able to say that you'll only take private groups. So Linda, this is maybe something you want to do. If the church isn't available, you can only take a private group. You can put it hidden from the public if a group has already contacted you and you're using only Airbnb, so you need them to book through Airbnb. You can hide it from the public and send them a link to the experience, or you can say private group but visible to public. If you had a different host, a different co-host, you would put that in there. You can change your price per guest. Say this weekend is that is Labor Day weekend. So it's a long weekend. I could have been at the cottage with my family, but I decided I'm going to host this weekend and maybe I want to make a bit more money. You can change that. You can also change the private group price. You can change your maximum group size. Say you're not feeling hosting with a big group, or you don't have it, you're waiting on materials to come in. You don't have enough to host 4 people. You can only do 2. You can change that. Change your private. You can change those cutoff times we talked about. If you are going to be at your location anyway, you can change that. And you can also add in some a private note for those private group bookings. I'm not exactly sure what you want to say here. You can put it in.
For me, it would have to say accommodation must have a working kitchen, for example.
Yes, great example there, Linda. So so once you fill all of that out, you'll hit schedule. And that experience is there. When I was talking to you earlier about having an event here that is hidden from the public, the way you would access that to give the link to that group who's booking you is you would click on that event. Let it load. If you go down to the bottom here, you can see the share link and you'll hit copy and you'll just send that off. And whoever has that link is able to book for that experience date. You're able to toggle over to an agenda type setting if that works better for you, or just the month. You can see here Airbnb has the option of what these mean for your legend. And then you're able to schedule as far out as you want, or you're able to schedule as close as you want. So I'm just going to quickly, before I forget, remove this from my calendar. As you can see, if you have no bookings, you can easily remove it from your calendar. Easy peasy. If you have bookings in, you're going to have to go through cancellation on that. I'm not able to show you that because I don't have anyone booked. And I don't want to ruin my so far flawless Airbnb reputation of no bookings. So I won't show you how to go through that. You are also able to offer it as soon as you want. So say I wanted to offer tomorrow, I can go ahead and schedule that in, and it's there. So, you know, if you have plans fall out and you've got nothing better to do the next day and you want to put it up, you can put it up. I'm just going to remove that so no one books that. I am
Excuse me.
wondering.
Abby.
Yes.
I have other commitment. If this is recorded, can I go back and check on you, put it this way?
Yep, I'm going to be putting it, it is being recorded, and I'm going to send it out in an email, and I'm going to put in some word prompts so you don't have to listen through the whole video in order to find specific areas you're looking for.
Very good. Thank you.
No problem. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So another neat feature here, you can see some of these have these light bulbs. They're insights. It's saying that you know, this is a high demand time. This is specifically for online experiences because I have an online experience. But if you have a little question mark there and you click on it, it's going to give you a little bit of insight about booking, which is really nice. Any questions about scheduling experiences? I don't think so. Okay, so just a few more things here. You have your inbox, which is going to show you, you know, all messages received. I should have a couple in here from Airbnb. This will be where your messages from guests will come to you as well as to your regular email. It'll be lots of different places for you. Sorry, this is taking a little bit of time here. Oh, I have no messages. So this will say from guests or all codes, Airbnb support. You will find messages. So if you are messaging Airbnb, you'll find it here. And then also you've got your resources, which is really helpful for a lot of stuff. Airbnb does have a lot of resources, you know, a lot of, you know, insights, attracting bookings, what'll help boost your bookings, how to earn those 5 stars, you know, responsible hosting, other things to help you host with confidence, and then all sorts of other articles. So my next thing I'm going to do quickly would be to show you how to go to toggle out of from your traveling Airbnb into your hosting Airbnb. Does anybody have any other questions before moving into that? Okay, so if we are, I'm just going to So we'll work backwards sort of right now. So if you're up at the top here and you want to go and, you know, look at other people's experiences to get some more ideas for yourself, you go into your profile and you'll switch to traveling. Sorry, I should also mention here you can put your currency to Canadian. You can see your transaction history, change any settings you have. I'm just going to quickly post it, look at settings. So, you know, your personal info, here's your payments and how you'll be paid out. You can create gift cards, I guess, that are or manage gift cards that people buy from Airbnb. You won't have to worry about that. Like people who have Airbnb gift cards will put that through. That'll be totally like worked out for you. You can go in here and play around with it, privacy, your notifications, yeah, all sorts of stuff. Some tools to help you manage your experiences. And if you refer people, you apparently get credits too. So, you know, you can use those credits that you get from Airbnb for, you know, accommodations or taking other people's experiences. And one thing I'm going to quickly go is switch to hosting. And this is also, so this is your hosting stuff, but it's also your stuff as a traveler. Sorry, this is just taking its time here. Okay, so as I said, we will work a little bit backwards. So I'm going to go to switch to traveling. So you're going to come up on the Airbnb side. If you're in here and you're looking to set up for your first experience, you can see here you've got hosting. If you scroll all the way down, you would host an experience. So everything is all in the same spot. You do not need to go to like Airbnb experiences outside of Airbnb. It's all hosted in the same spot here. So you can you click on one of those and it'll take you in and toggle you over to your hosting side. Linda, does that kind of explain your question, or was there more to your question?
No, it's just if I went to the Airbnb site, I have my personal account. Like you said, I just go down to the bottom there where it says host and I just click on host and experience and it'll toggle me over, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it kind of asks you in all sorts of places. So you will be able to find it. Like if I toggle back in here, besides going all the way down to the bottom, you can also click, once it loads here, it'll show up. Pew, 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 pew. Right here, it says become a host. If you click there, it'll then say, do you want to host an accommodation experience, an online experience? So you can decide, you can go from there, or you can scroll down to the bottom, find it there. You can go in here and you can go to like account or see host your home. You can manage experiences, which will let you put in experiences, all sorts. Okay, so that is the gist of everything. Any specific questions right now?
The only question I have for you is, sorry, I'll let somebody else talk.
It's pretty slick. It seems somewhat simple for such a complex financial and business undertaking.
Yeah, it is pretty slick, and putting it in the first time would be a little confusing, but it is pretty intuitive. And the Airbnb support is really good for any questions you may have. Linda, go ahead.
Sorry, just a quick question, because we have a meeting tomorrow at 7 and we are supposed to have some massive thunderstorms here where I am. And if that's the case, what do I do? Because I wouldn't be able to turn my computer on. Do I just phone you on your phone, or what would you like me to do?
Let me think about that and get back to you, okay?
Sure, thanks.
No problem. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
I feel really overwhelmed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not that good on the computer.
Yep.
So I would have a lot of trouble filling in that application.
Absolutely. So that's something that I am here for. If you're not in my cohort, your trainer is there for. If your trainer can't help you, you can come to me. I am will 100% help you walk through every single part, create your descriptions, help you pick your pricing, and then help you to understand how to work out your availability and everything. So yes, it is a lot, especially when you're not going through it with your own info and putting it in. But once you get your application in, it's and you start to understand your bookings, it will become easier for you. Like any new program you need to learn. So don't be too intimidated, because I am here for you and I will help you walk through every single part. And once you get it up, it is Airbnb does take care of so much for you.
Great. Thanks, Abby.
No problem. Okay, so with that, I am going to stop our recording.